Happy Friday, everyone. It's Matt Diaz with the Minnesota Coalition for the Homeless, and you're watching the legislative update for Friday, May 6, 2022. We're just a few short weeks away from the end of the 2022 legislative session, scheduled to end on May 23rd. This past week, we made another step toward that end goal with the passage of the Omnibus Health and Human Services bill off the House floor. This past Tuesday, after over 6 hours of amendments and debate, the House passed their HHS Omnibus bill off the floor 69-64. Within this bill are all the major provisions MCH has supported this session, along with several important provisions brought to the table by our partners in this work. First is $75 million in shelter capital resources across the state to build, acquire, or preserve shelter spaces. Next is funding the operation of those new shelters and our existing shelters with a $36 million investment in the Emergency Services Program this year, along with $50 million per biennium in ongoing funding. Our provisions on the Transitional Housing Program timeline extensions and clarifications are also found in this bill, along with $5 million per biennium ongoing in that program. From our partner organizations, there are many more great provisions, like additional funding for the Homeless Youth Act, Safe Harbor, shelter-linked mental health grants, and provisions to let folks on Social Security and veterans benefits be able to keep more of their benefits while accessing housing supports. Also this week, the members of the Conference Committee for the HHS Omnibus Bill were finally named. The House members on this committee will be Representatives Tina Liebling, Jennifer Schultz, Dave Pinto, Aisha Gomez, and Tony Albright. The senators on this committee will be Senators Jim Abler, Paul Utke, Mark Corrin, Michelle Benson, and John Hoffman. We'd also like to take an opportunity to shout out 2 recent news articles that we think you should check out if you want to learn more about homelessness here in Minnesota. Jennifer Harrison, Executive Director of Dakota Woodlands, wrote a letter in the Sun Sailor about the importance of investing in homeless shelters, and Matt Trainer, Director of Organizing for MCH, wrote a piece co-authored by advocates Jason Urbanchek and Melissa Carlson for the Duluth News Tribune on why insufficient investments and not community leaders are to blame for the homelessness crisis in Minnesota. Check out these links along with all the links to our social media in the description below. That's all for this week. Keep up the great work that you're doing, folks. This is Matt Diaz from the Minnesota Coalition for the Homeless saying thank you for your time, and as always, please remember that shelter saves lives and housing ends homelessness.